it's about rehabilitation.
Okay.
When people go in there, they go there for correction. And you correct them so that when they come back, they cannot be a burden on the society. They will not continue to do the wrong things that society forbid. Do you understand? So that's the reason why we have to work in all of the different sectors to make sure that from a human rights based approach, things are improved to a standard. No country is void of a human rights challenge. So, but what we do is that you strive to improve the human rights situation.
Mr. Dempster, talk us through these reports. When you get, let's say, the draft of these reports, do you share with the authorities of the day? For example, if the report that you've gathered in its draft
is a human rights report, and not mail that. Human rights report, and not report that we got to share draft with you before you get satisfied.
But do you give them an insight
as
to what is happening?
The thing is that is why when the reports come out, you need to go and verify. When the report come out, you now have to do your homework to check the report, every paragraph and subject of the report, so that you know whether the reports that are made, they are not factual. So to tell you that we said, yes, generate human rights report, share with the state before we put a report out, they will never come up. The report will never change the scenario that we want to address, want to see be addressed. No, never. We can.
But I've seen a couple of reports from state departments. I've read a report sometime over the last years.
So you can challenge a report. A report can come out. You can challenge a report.
I'm coming there.
You understand? So I'm not a spokesperson for the State Department.
No,
that's equally. So, but I'm just giving you from a human rights based approach how reports are made. So
I'm coming there.
let me just make that clear.
There have been trust issues with these reports, given the authorities of the day reaction to these reports. They don't trust the administration of the past 6 years.
So, but what I do know is that normally when the State Department report is out, they share it, with stakeholders
internally.
Not internally, they share it. There's a chain of email that the reports come to. Oh, Adama, this is our report. Other people, this is our report. What their impression of the report? Their feedback. If they have feedback, we also write back to them to say, hey, these are feedback. These are things that A, B, C, D, and so we make recommendation back to them. But to him, in the context where I'm in the know that the draft report will be shared before it's published. No, I cannot confirm that.
Okay,
I cannot confirm that.
Now, recently you were in the United States. What's the mission there?
I was in the U.S. Basically back to back. Not just I've been in the U.S. For the past 2 years now, 4 times back to back. That is it's part of our own human rights. International human rights relation, from diplomatic engagement up the hill in Washington, along with State Department. The last time I was in the U.S., it was the event that has to do with the U.S. Africa Summit, and I was there and I spoke at the side meeting held for African human rights leaders in Washington D.C. At Johns Hopkins University. I was one of the speakers. So we use the opportunity to amplify and, of course, present the human rights profile of our country as to how situation, what are those issues that need to be addressed. And so some of those issues also, top of our list was on the issue of accountability of war crimes. So
that's a very key point there for me, war crimes. There where I'm coming.
Yeah. So, but you see, that's a debate that have not been diluted for more than 5, 6, 7 years. For every time the issue of war crimes, and of course, all the debate will come and go down, but the issue of war crimes has not, I call it.
So what is different with this era?
So what I'm going to say is that I'm just giving you a line of most of my visit from the U.S. So in recent time, I had the opportunity to have actually been selected as member of the U.S. International Visitor to Leadership Program. That is a U.S. prestigious program that was formed since 1940. And those who have benefited from that leadership program, I know for the record, Margaret Thatcher, Tony Blair, the current British Prime Minister, Richard Sunak, and of course, the top leaders from around the world. So it's a non-U.S. citizens, program. So they will, do their research around the world, identify potential leaders or emerging leaders so that they invest in them. And also I became one of the person who the U.S. picked, and I went through the round of a learning process across the U.S. And of course, as part of that, I used the opportunity to also do my diplomatic engagement up the hill
Okay.
at the level of Congress, where we had already our network that have been in place. That is, we work with a number of congressional leaders. So, like Oman, Congresswoman Oman from Minnesota, who is a chair on U.S. Africa Policy Working Group. So her office is basically focused on Africa, U.S. Africa relation. That has to do with how while those things are happening in Africa, how the U.S. Congress can work with Africa and African government to be able to raise some of those challenges that are faced within the African country.
Okay.
So some of the things we put before her has to do with the issue of accountability. So war crimes, and of course, along with her, there are other congressional people, congressional women that also have raised so much, support for Africa and of course Liberia. So those are ongoing engagement that's already going. And of course, the level of the Senate, the Congress, the Foreign Relation Office within Congress, of course, the issue, one of the high ranking member just issued a statement in recent times in support of the War Crimes Code. It was a result of our engagement, of course, partnership with them that actually gave them an insight on Liberia and what are the issues that are pressing. And of course, you saw that in the statement from Congress.
Yeah.
So State Department, we work with the U.S. Ambassador for War Crimes. So she be in country back to back.
Yeah.
On my short visit. Yeah. On my short visit, I think I met her 3 times. My last meeting with her was on Monday this week. And of course, our conclusion of our meeting was also centered around the issue of war crimes. And the excitement that Liberia have moved forward is something that the U.S. is more, positive about.
Okay.
That we are moving towards addressing Civil War era crimes, atrocities that were committed during the Civil War.
Okay.
And of course, pushing the culture of impunity from our shows. So these are things that we've been having a conversation around.
You are a lead campaigner, the Coalition for the Establishment of a War and Economic Crimes Code. Indeed, you said over the past years there have been discussions.
Yeah.
This topic is not new to us. Is this era a different era?
So just before I talk about the era, let me just give you some of the roadblocks that we've experienced during the past. And of course, those roadblocks, we thought that they would not have been, given the fact that people who we thought were campaigning along with us when they were in opposition. They did campaign with us for war crimes court. When they took power, we thought that they were going to be
the past administration.
Of course, the past administration was going to be the very, positive group of people that were going to make sure that we got a war crimes court established. But unfortunately, it did not happen.
Was it a betrayal of trust?
Well, I don't want to say a betrayal, because the thing is that in advocacy, we keep our eyes on the advocacy, the issues that we want to see, address. And of course, given that they were just using the human rights space, the war crimes space, to promulgate their interests, to get their portfolio, their manifestos, on the table, so that the Liberian people could use it to bring them to power. They use it in that way. But unfortunately, a lot of people say, it was a betrayal or unfulfilled, promise that they did not, deliver on. So it's unfortunate, I'll put it that way.
Okay.
But we thought that the CDC would have done that, and unfortunately, it did not happen. So only from that administration, just in the first month, we started to see the dynamics being changed around the conversation of war crimes.
There's a glimmer of hope, yeah.
Of course. Not only in Liberia, because I do a lot of work between Liberia and the international community, that is at the level of the UN, the US, and of course Europe. The fact that on the very first day of the inauguration, there was a paragraph or a whole session on war crimes, began an eye-opener.
Okay.
It raised the hope for victims, and it also gave impression to the human rights community and the international community that there were going to be a drastic change henceforth.
But as much as that paragraph was there, it was still rhetorical.
Yeah,
it was still rhetorical in the sense that at the time? I mean, I'm just trying to backtrack on whether there was a sense of skepticism.
No, but the thing is that although it was not read, but someone who say it was the hand of angel that placed it there. I mean, that was it was confirmed and approved to have been kept in the speech. So it was not something that was literally just of mistake that was just placed in the speech. I think it was something that was already being approved by the president. And though it was not read during the delivery of the speech, but as a policy document, we didn't take it lightly. Because even if it was the hand of the angel that placed that line in the president's inaugural speech that he was going to move towards setting up a war crimes court, then the angels did it in the interest of the victims and the survivors of the Civil War. So we, from the human rights standpoint, were analyzing, policies. Automatically, we took that as a serious, commitment by the president that his vision for addressing the culture of impunity and, of course, making sure that accountability is at the head of everything he's going to be doing.
So, in essence, you don't take anything surrounding this war crimes court establishment very lightly. You don't take it lightly.
I mean, even statement from alleged perpetrators. We monitor the statement very keenly because whatever may come all against or in favor of the war crimes court, we analyze it from what perspective and one is coming up with. We are talking about addressing the plight of victims and survivors. Over 250,000 people died, mercilessly died, you understand? And then you want to take that very lightly? It is not possible.
But
we're seeing other countries move. I was just in Sierra Leone a month ago. I spoke at the Sierra Leonean Special Court for Sierra Leone Legacy Conference after 22 years of the Sierra Leone Special Court operation. And the conference was actually giving account for over 50,000 people that died as a result of the Sierra Leone conflict. I'm seeing 50,000 against 250,000. These people gathered and they brought the entire world in Freetown to commemorate that day that they made progress. They made progress on the ground that Sierra Leone will no longer choose war. They will no longer move to war, the issue of conflict or bringing their country to that point that will resort to going to war. They have erased that. But this is a country that someone will say, we'll go to war. We'll kill president, we'll kill somebody. People still talking about killing. I mean, you can put your microphone, you can turn your tune on. The voice is around here.
No, I haven't heard anybody talking about killing. I'm
going to say it because threats, there are a lot of threats around. People will defend themselves. People will defend themselves. There are threats. There are threats coming every now and then. We're seeing that. I'm not seeing that we're trying to lead,
from
the
perpetrators
or that people come after them, they will defend themselves, they will protect themselves. So justifying what may have happened during the Civil War, I think these are things that are unfortunate. If a country decides to move forward, everyone should be moving towards that is because you move forward. But in the face of where people want to justify, give reason, and then defend themselves, it becomes very much unfortunate. I'm just giving you a scenario from Sierra Leone, how Sierra Leone situation is different from our own situation. But what we're saying here is that not in the context of coming against alleged perpetrator, because we want a war crimes code, a framework that will protect even accused people, that will come to a process impartially, that will be fair, you understand, that will dispense justice not based on witch hunt. You understand? So the lesson from the Sierra Leone situation scenario that we learn from that is that the Sierra Leone people have resolved and decided to move forward. After the war crimes code, after the TRC process, the country is moving forward. Can Liberia learn from Sierra Leone? Look at what happened in Guinea. 150 people died during the 2009 coup d'etat under Dadis Camara. Dadis Camara is currently in detention, in prison in Guinea. And there's a tribunal that is trying the people who are responsible for the 150 people that died on the stadium in Conakry. They are moving forward. In Gambia Gambia have concluded. I'm coming. Gambia have concluded. Gambia have concluded.
Let's bring it.
I'm coming back.
Let's talk about the
I'm
progress
giving
that's
you.
been made.
I'm giving you.
I know.
Let me just help you. Let me just. I'm going to conclude Gambia.
I don't want us to historicize the interview.
No, let me just.
What I'm coming.
Let me just give you. Let me just conclude Gambia.
Yeah, but
Gambia had taken a drastic decision right now. That is, going to investigate Yahya Jammeh and those that work with him doing his route. And at the end of the day, they're going to set up a hybrid court in the Gambia that will bring Jammeh and others to be able to answer to the atrocities that are committed during Yahya Jammeh's route. And then, so all of these are things that are happening very in our own neighboring
but
region.
the fact of the matter is, Mr. Dempster, some progress has been made.
Progress has been made.
Yeah, for example, the resolution from this.
I'm coming to the resolution, but I'm not giving you that these progress are in line with what we're seeing right now. So I think this government, the legislature is drawing from some of the progress that have been made in our region to be able to, beep off some of the good things that are happening in the country right now. If I'm telling you I'm not excited about the progress that have been made, I'll be lying to you. Liberia has made progress. And as a result of the progress right now, there are a lot of people internationally that will be responding to Liberia in a positive way. I'm saying this to you because we have a series of different meetings in DC, both up the hill and at level of state. You understand? And even back home, most of the international missions that we work with, they have moved the conversation around from other human rights now right now to war crimes. I wouldn't want to mention that, but I'm seeing most of the top foreign missions in Liberia right now. They are reading the resolution and having the conversation about moving forward or either to support the war crimes court proposal. So I'm saying this, that is a welcoming, how you call it, venture. It's a welcoming action by the legislature. And of course, we look up to the president where there will be an executive order, the calling on the United Nations international community to help Liberia, that is in terms of technical, financial, because it's going to be a huge responsibility that has to do with funding, that has to do with international legal expertise in terms of war crimes prosecution. You have technical experts that will be coming from different countries that should be coming to help Liberia, because training and of course putting proposals together how to bring Liberia and the country up to a standard that we will brace to be able to move forward the issue of the war crimes court.
Well, I have attempted bringing some of those accused in a court of public opinion, like some of the senators, like notably Senators, Nimland and Senator Johnson. Their argument has been, why now? Like Senator Nimle, for example, he was telling me.
I heard that he signed. I don't know.
He did sign because he said he wants to see how it works. It's almost like you threatening somebody with something. The person is just fed up, and they want to see how far you go. But his argument is, why not this government focused on the implementation of its development agenda? The war crimes code is not. The war crimes code, according to him, is not reflected in the arrest agenda.
Who determines that? The arrest agenda talks about rule of law.
But the rule of law is a broad topic.
No, but then there's cross-cutting. If you talk about the rule of law, you can break the rule of law down. You breaking the rule of law down and to understand where you address all of those issues that fall under the rule of law pillar. So war crime code could be one of the issues that fall under the rule of law pillar, under the arrest agenda. So why would you want to say that because it's not said or it's not stated war crimes code in the rule of law agenda, that doesn't mean that they should not take up the issue of war crimes code? Rule of law is broad, but you can break it down on a segment in terms of pillars and decide to move forward with it. So I may not be a spokesperson for the Unity Party or those implementing the agenda of arrest, but for our own analysis. The area that has to do with rule of law, we have taken keen interest into that and decided to break it down. So when you talk about war crimes code, we put it under that payload and find an area where we place it. That in terms of addressing accountability, in terms of addressing the rule of law, the issue of accountability, war crimes, is one area that is a serious area that will help this country, because the culture of impunity is something that is in our day-to-day lifestyle. That people will sit down and then commit crime or do things, and then the law cannot hold them.
At what point of this whole effort towards the establishment of a war and economic crimes code, you human rights defenders will say, okay, we are at the brink of the court's establishment? At what point?
Well, so I mean, there's a work in progress right now. And the level of this work in progress, we have not seen it since our advocacy. So we say that we've been yearning for the political will. From Madam Selly administration, we were looking for political will. It did not come. Under President Weah, the political will did not. But then just with this government, we've seen a level of progress. I think that's something that we want to build on. So we're building on this.
But yet too far, because
no, see, what this issue about, even in our human rights campaign, you have to start a conversation. And the conversation have started, excuse me, and move towards at least a policy. That is a resolution. The resolution giving confirmation of the legislature affirming that yes, indeed, we want the court to be established. That is why the resolution is recommending that a statute, a bill be drafted and provided that would define what the court will look like. So had the legislature refused to even hold a conversation on this matter, then of course there would not be a likelihood to say that we're moving towards a war crimes code sooner. But the fact that every morning you put your radio on in the communities, the issue of war crime is being discussed. Why the issue of war crime is on the lip of everyone is because the wrongs that were done yesterday, if we don't correct them, they have a way of influencing the current reality that we find ourselves in. People will always feel that when they do wrong and they are not punished, it will serve as a justification, as a ground that people will keep perpetrating, and then there will be no room for prosecution, no room to hold them, and the culture of impunity will continue to live on. But it will serve as a deterrent if we hold people for crimes that were committed yesterday, that others will not want to venture into committing any crime in the future, even now.
I know you public defenders appreciate the speed at which this whole conversation is taking shape, and how these actors are acting, and how the political will is shifting things. And I know you appreciate that, but there are also potential bottlenecks.
Yeah.
For example, where the court will be established, how how do you adduce evidence?
The resolution said it. Read the resolution. The resolution that was just they call it approved by the legislature. It's being
the thing is, I don't want to dwell on the resolution, because the resolution is not a guarantee. In a sense of legality, it's not a guarantee.
The resolution is giving a go ahead. The resolution has given a go ahead for the court to be established. So
the resolution is not a bill.
It's not a bill, but the resolution is giving a go ahead by the legislature, those who are responsible to make law in this republic, that go ahead and put all the legal framework together, defining what the court will look like.
The resolution here.
So I'm telling you, go back to the resolution. Section in the resolution is clear about the court being established in Liberia. You understand? So the fact of the matter is that once the resolution is presented to the president, it is now the responsibility of the president to move forward the resolution in terms of working with the Ministry of Justice, other stakeholders, the international community, to put what is necessary in terms of a workforce that will be able to draft this bill and present it back to the legislature. If they do not approve it, then we say we don't. The resolution, they honor their own resolution. But given that they have given us a resolution, we have to use the resolution as a first-hand approval, consent of the legislature that Liberia should move forward, the executive should move forward to start a process of drafting a bill that will institute the creation of the War Crimes Court.
A lot of people still think that the resolution is vulnerable and is prone to being undermined. People still believe that until they see a bill drafted and people sign up to the bill is passed by both houses.
So you asked me earlier how soon, and I said that the fact that from January 22nd, we saw the first layer, the president inaugural address, right? And then we move on now, we're seeing both houses have approved a resolution. That is, progress has been made. So the next thing is the resolution go back to the president, and the president take it from there. So these are things that onward is being done in a kind of coordinated way that we have to follow. So since the resolution have been approved either last week or this week, you understand, it goes to the president, and then we're not getting any feedback, then you start coming up with uncertainty. But I think with the progress that has been made, we are following and continue to follow. And the fact that when the resolution was approved around the world, the commendation that came to Liberia, the Senate, the House of Representatives, I mean, you can go to the writing, you can go to the readings, they are there.
I read a couple of them.
And from within Liberia. So what we've seen is that there are huge backing, both internationally and nationally, when it comes to the conversation and the implementation of the issue of the War Crimes Court establishment. So I will tell you that what we look forward to right now is that seeing President Boakai receiving the resolution from the legislature, and then he acting upon it. That is why the room is always there. Because the issue of war crimes, the borders around international human rights, international humanitarian law, you cannot do it alone as a country. You have to call on the United Nations, like what Sierra Leone did. Amman Tijan Kabat at the time, right after the Sierra Leone conflict, he wrote the United Nations Secretary General. And immediately, the Secretary General informed the Security Council, and the Security Council convened a meeting, and the UN came up with a resolution supporting Sierra Leone to establish a special court Sierra Leone. And on the basis of that, the international community, state parties, committed themselves to providing funding to that identical special court. So we look forward to our president, upon receiving of the resolution, to engage the United Nations, the international community, to be able to request the necessary assistance that will help us to get the whole thing kick-started.
Saying you are drawing your cues and analysis from other areas, let me just ask you this. For the establishment of the UN Bar Court in Sierra Leone and other courts,
right,
was there a resolution from their parliament?
Well, I mean, there may not be the context of resolution from that parliament. It will start from a conversation and then it go directly. So
then why waste our time over resolution?
Why is waste of time? The fact that if even the United Nations, the president called on the United Nations international community, and the Security Council come up with a position, you already have an appetite in our legislature on the issue of war crimes court. There's not going to be any roadblock. We are not seeing any roadblock in the legislature. This is why we are telling you that had there been any roadblock, then we start pondering. But we have not seen any roadblock at the level of the legislature. So why are we trying to, pull strings around the issue of the war crimes code when it came from the president and then it's landed in the legislature? It have overwhelmingly gone through in terms of calling on the president through the resolution to put the necessary mechanism together to be able to establish a court. So I don't see any bottleneck in this thing. We don't see any bottleneck. What we're seeing over the time is that it's work in progress. It's work in progress towards the establishment of the War Economic Crime Court in this country.
Okay, if you just joined us, you're listening to the Super Morning Show. My guest is Mr. Adama Dempster, National Secretary General, Civil Society Human Rights Advocacy Platform, a lead campaigner, Coalition for the Establishment of War and Economic Crimes Court. Were you surprised when you saw the signatures of Senators Yaya Nimle and Senator Prince Johnson on the resolution? Were you surprised?
Surprise may not be my word, because I know that of 30 senators, if even 2 did not sign. All the rest of the people signed. There was, overwhelming majority. So there was none of us
No,
surprised, because the
for,
first thing is that,
for the fact that these people, people say they
I mean,
personalize the war crime court.
no, yeah, the personalized war crime code. I mean, if they didn't sign, no qualm with that, because the rest of the senators were overwhelmingly going
You were
to
looking
get
at
it.
majority.
So we're looking at majority. So the thing is that we will keep saying this. The cause of impunity is not just about one person; it's about a whole nation.
Mm.
You understand? And if a country decides to move forward, I mean, no one individual will stop that identical, a movement. So this is where we find ourselves right now. So the idea that, Senator Yaya signed, Senator Johnson signed, I said, okay. But the fact of the matter is that how many vote or signatory do we need for this identical resolution? And we have more than 20% standing back. That is above the vast majority of the Senate. It was a let's go. So they're signing, one may say with reservation or whatever they want to describe it. The fact that we had an overwhelming majority block that we have turned the resolution into what we wanted to see, we build our argument on that.
They also frowned at the fact that Mr. Allen White was in session that particular day. Do you think that his presence played any kind of role in the assigning of the resolution?
No, I mean, I don't want to comment. I mean, Mr. White could be, or Dr. White, I heard that he been around the country, few times.
Okay.
And knowing his history, his work with the Special Court of Sierra Leone, and some other work that we heard that he been doing around Africa as well.
Okay.
But that does not in any way say that he has been given the authority to supervise or champion the war crimes court for Liberia. So why would he put a person post PF for anyone? Because the idea is that there was no authority given to any individual. Senators will be acting, with their conscience, in the right frame of mind. Okay. So to have seen one person who maybe have a record of working or doing war crimes court work around the world as a threat, to say that they would not sign, I don't think I want to dwell on that. Okay. Because senators are described as the elders, within our body politics when it comes to lawmaking. So we believe that they do things in the right frame of mind with their conscience.
Okay. This is the Super Morning Show. Indeed, we're speaking with Mr. Dempster, Adama Dempster. We're talking human rights issues. Call us on 0770581886, 0770581886. I saw the call from Mr. Hassan Belete.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's on the line. Mr. Belete, good morning. I guess you want to participate on the show.
Yeah, good morning.
First
of all, I want to say thank you and my colleagues here. Matter of fact, we just returned from the United States, as Adama said.
Yeah.
We met with the U.S. State Department officials and congressional officials. And the last thing you mentioned, first of all, whoever was present in the Senate, the president does not work for, nor do they represent the government of the United States. The court, when established, will be will be funded by the United Nations, by state bodies through the United Nations. So we will not allow and we will not accept a justice court, a court for justice to be commercialized. That's the first thing. Second, this is very important. And not only that, the United States is very much interested, and other countries are very much interested in seeing this done. This is the right thing. And Liberia as a country is under international treaty obligation to fulfill this. These are human rights issues as well.
Okay.
So no matter what the situation is, I believe the court will come. The coming of the court, I have to say, they get me on record, will be tied to a lot of stuff that Liberia expects.
Okay.
So if I were the legislature, it will serve their interest to do so. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hazan.
I hope to have you on anytime you deem necessary.
Sure, no problem.
Thank you. Let's hear from this person. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
I'm fine. What's your name?
Yeah, well, I'm Tony from a conference ABS community here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's due to cardinal issue with respect to the chief discussing the people there.
Oh, you're coming in. Maybe you need to take a walk away from where you are.
I'm walking away.
You pretty much okay now.
Okay, great. I want to find out two cardinal issues. What are some economic benefits in terms of maybe job opportunities or issues in terms of the economy for other diversities that the work bring to that of the state? And one, two, what could be other issues that blank economic codes with respect to the war crime codes in terms of polity?
Okay.
Does the two bear the strength of weight or on the gravity of impunity that one committed some heinous crimes from the angle of war? There's similar gravity of impunity to that of the economic crime code. These are the issues I really want to get from the discussion.
Thank you. I love the distinction, the war and economy. Yeah. Call us on 0770581886, 0770581886. And be live on the Super Morning Show. This morning, I was 08805140996 line is down. So call me on 0770581886 and be live on the program this morning. Maybe you can chip in on his
So I mean
the economic benefit, and this is
I know that question keep coming every now and then. I was at
Adama, let me just take this call, please. Morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, sir. What's your name?
Let me ask a question. What the American people have done for this country so much when they supported all the war which you can take in action? You know this country is your country.
You say what?
Hello?
Yeah, what did you say?
I said, every time America come here, what have they done for this country, Liberia, this small country? Do that, toward that. You understand me? All this thing. If you can your son, you should have control over your son. When you come between your son, when it's fine, you can't. All the water far from into a bridge, when there's a little machine.
Yeah, but you're not the only person on the line, huh?
Yeah, no, but let me
quickly. Yeah.
They can produce one pocket. They can produce one time in this country. They came out with resources. What are they doing in the country? Nothing they're doing, man.
Okay, thank you. Nobody here is a spokesperson for the U.S. government. Good morning.
Good morning, Buffalo, and good morning to Liberians.
Yeah, let's hear you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Buffalo. My name is Sam Walker. I speak to you from Ghana, and let me say good morning to Mr. Dempster.
Good morning.
Okay, establishing a war crime code is not a problem. You know, everybody needs justice in the country because no one go with you. Well, my point here is that what will be the role of the Supreme Court? Now we have the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is the final arbiter of justice.
Okay.
They are there to, do these things. So I don't know.
Which one will be subject to the order, right?
Yeah, we will be subject to the order. That's not concern.
Okay. Because the Supreme Court is the high court in the land. Morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. What's your name?
How is this morning, sir?
I'm fine. What's your name?
Okay, I'm Elton Pisoli, calling from Mike County.
Yeah, let's hear you, sir.
Yeah, my concern to understand who is the lead convener of the War Economic Crime Court. I'm going to ask him what I stand to benefit when it comes to the War Economic Crime Court, because we are all hearing that the world is going to be establishing, building Ghana. So then what I stand to benefit? What will be a job of learning or being able to Liberians?
Okay. Thank you. Let's hear from this person. Lastly, morning. Oh, you've left from the radio now?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you for your studio guys. Yeah, I explained lengthily. But when we look at the war crime court established in Liberia, in my mind, when the United States be involved,
involving yourself where will be questioned as to the role they play into the war, or they just come in to sugarcoat us and say
you know of any role that we don't know about?
Yeah, the role they play when Chadra left the jail, Chadra left the jail to come and wage war on Liberia.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dempster. I think
yeah. So I mean, I know the question about benefits, about the war and the economic crime scope. I mean, it's an ongoing concern, a question that's always been asked.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I was just at CO, the Intellectual Center of Chemistry, the other day, the wide range of audience. What's the benefit? What's the employment benefit, of course? But I mean, there are a lot of things that I can use the Special Court of Sierra Leone models to actually paint what Liberian war crimes code will look like once it is established on the ground. The first thing is that one of the cardinal responsibilities and, of course, contribution of the government is that the government will provide the land. Okay. So when you asking for contribution from the state, because the state will say, we are a country, a developing country that still depend on international support. We don't have the money. And the fact that the War Crimes Court is borders around violations of human rights, international humanitarian law. So internationally, money should come from international community. So when they ask what the Liberian government and the people of Liberia would do, first of all, you have to provide the venue, the space. So the land is one area that has to be provided. And then in terms of construction, building of the facility of the court, all of these will be basically modeled around, domestic workers, Liberian workers who will be brought forward. If there will be supervisor or expert, maybe with what the court will look like, those are things that will be passed on. What I saw in Sierra Leone is that Sierra Leoneans were greatly involved with the issue of the building of the court, the running of the court, including lawyers, young Sierra Leonean lawyers. Most of them now, they are even serving at the RCC and other international courts in the world, because they had the opportunity to be trained, by the Special Court of Sierra Leone, the Sierra Leone court, and then brought them up to speed where they are now being qualified to represent on international war crimes trials. And of course, most of the Sierra Leone lawyers are out there. And you also got security. Our security apparatus will be trained and brought up to speed when it comes to protecting, not just the ordinary protection, but you're talking about it's a war crime. So protect war crime suspect is just not the ordinary way you're going to be protecting other, suspect or other accused people in country. So you have to have that international, techniques when it comes to that. So there's going to be a lot of different training of Liberian. I saw the media and public affairs department of the Special Court of Sierra Leone. Young Sierra Leonean journalists, media actors were trained. Most of them right now work in The Hague and other places around the world. They are covering war crime trials, and then the journalistic
employment opportunities.
So it's a huge employment opportunity. So a lot of people will be asking what the economic benefit. I mean, there will be a wide range of different openings where you won't have to bring the international community here or internationals to come and fill up the place before you say, you have Liberians that will be trained. Because first of all, the issue of training is the first thing that will start. So some of the conversation we even had in at the State Department this week, that it was on Monday, was how can the State Department move support towards training Liberian lawyers when it comes to the issue of war crimes. So conversation like that is already happening now. You understand? I know the issue of security will keep coming up. What can international community do to beef up Liberia's security, to strengthen Liberia's security? Those are conversations that's going to be coming. I mean, it's also part of it in the pipeline. So a wide range of different aspects of benefit, but more importantly, the issue of the War and Economic Crimes Court will guarantee and convince investors to move to the shores of Liberia to invest. You find out right now, you don't really have much, huge investment climate within our country, because there is state, a mentality that we are not
fragile.
Yeah, we are not folded, stabilized, reconciled. You may put it that way. So in the case of whatsoever, something may pop up, and then you may undermine whatever progress is happening in the country. So the idea of addressing the culture of impunity, holding people accountable, setting a benchmark that justice will be for all, justice will not be for some or few, is something that we need to move our country towards. So it will help to create that awareness and present the country into a more reliable state that anyone can come and do business in Liberia. They'll be clear on that. So the aspect about the gentleman who asked about the war and economy. So the resolution actually from the legislature actually proposed 2 different codes. That is, you have a war crimes code that will be dealing with war crime, because crimes that were committed because there was war. And the crimes that were committed during the war that are described as a war crime will be tried under the war crimes code. The economic aspect, also there will be a code that will deal with the economic aspect of what occurs. That is, during the civil war, if the resources of the country go down, were being looted, or some group of people just went to work and then just exploited the country, and there's record pointing to them connected to that, the economic aspect will handle them. If there were people also who use their fundings to sponsor the war, you understand, maybe buy guns, and there's record, that aspect of the code could also handle that. And the amendment could be further, because when the statute is drafted, perhaps there will be an amendment to look at official corruption. That I don't want to, the statute should be able to define that. I don't want to go into that. But if the statute define it in that context, then of course the code will go after official corruption.
Somebody was asking about which one will be subject to the other. Or the Supreme Court, because the argument has been one can easily take flight to the Supreme Court and take an appeal there. So if you are convicted at the war crime court.
So right now I can determine, or I can come up with any answer to that, because you don't have a framework, you don't have a definition of what the war crimes code will look like. You understand? So once the statute is there, the law that defines the war crimes code automatically put it in the suitable position to decide or define what is what. So if the war crimes code that is being perceived to be a international domestic court, although
that prohibits appeal.
So those are things that will be defined. So until you have that definition, I can comment on that. So those are things that I just wanted to put out, because you don't have the statutes be written. You don't have the statute.
This is why we're pinning you down on the bill that will be a guarantee for people like you, human rights defenders, to have a glimmer of hope.
Right. I agree with you. But I'm saying is that the fact that we don't have the build and we're moving towards a build, I mean, we want to build on the progress.
Okay.
We want to build on the current progress and the appetite that have been given so far towards establishing a war crimes court under this government, as commendation for the Barker's-led administration, and of course to the legislature for the level of progress that we're seeing towards the establishment of a war economic crimes court in the country.
Well, Adama Dempster, we have to end there, but I thank you very much for being on the Super Morning Show this morning.
It's a pleasure.
He's Adama Dempster, a lead campaigner for war and economic crimes courts. He's a human rights defender. My name is Vafle Kamara. Very shortly, I will be speaking with Representative Mama Briggs Mensah of District 6, Bond County, concerning her bill she wrote to plenary yesterday.